Sagittarius. Today we're going to look at August 23rd, 2025, and that's the new moon in Virgo. And if you enjoy this reading, please subscribe and tell me what you enjoyed about this reading. I love to read your comments, and I thank you if you are already a subscriber. So let's begin. In numerology, the number for that day is 22, and 22 is a master number and a master builder, calling for high-level growth and grounded execution. So for Sagittarius, this is a reality check wrapped in potential. Your dreams can take root, but only if you're willing to face the tender truths, rework your foundation, and nurture yourself with radical honesty. So you might find that your usual optimism feels dulled, and it's not a bad thing. It's clarity. You're seeing where your heart needs deeper care, not just bigger plans. And this is your call to rebuild from the inside out. So in astrology, this new moon lands on your 10th house of career, public life, reputation, and purpose. It's a cosmic reset for what success really means to you and how you're defining your place in the world. So we're going to look at the sun and the moon because they're together, because it's a new moon and they're in Virgo, the 10th house for you, and that's career, visibility, and responsibility. So you're being asked to refine your goals, upgrade your systems, and align your ambitions with something that feels nourishing, not just impressive. So you might rework your business strategy, apply for a new position, or decide to walk away from a title that no longer reflects who you are becoming. Then we have Mercury, and Mercury is in retrograde, and it's in Virgo, so that's your 10th house, and that's going to talk about rethinking professional identity. So career-related clarity may come through revision. Past work ideas, mentors, or missed opportunities might resurface for reconsideration. So you might revise your resume, reconnect with an old boss, or finally decide to launch something you shelved months ago. Venus. Venus is in Leo, and that's your 9th house. That's going to talk about expansion, higher wisdom, and beliefs. So your values and aesthetics are expanding. Venus here encourages you to love what inspires you and stop compromising on your philosophical truth. You could feel drawn to rebrand something in your life. That could be your appearance or your message or even your belief system. And then we have Mars, and Mars is in Gemini. That's your 7th house. That's going to talk about relationships and agreements and reflection in others. So Mars heats up your partnerships, stirring passion or tension. Use this energy to clarify what's working and what's not. So you may have a blunt but necessary conversation with a friend, a lover, or collaborator that clears the air and makes space for something better. Let's look at the tarot cards. The first card I pulled for you is the Knight of Cups, and that says divine blessings and satisfaction. So, Knight of Cups, that talks about romantic energy, emotional expression, and pursuing the heart's truth. So the Knight of Cups rides in with poetic purpose. He follows his heart, wears his feelings on his sleeve, and isn't afraid to dream out loud. But when ungrounded, he can chase illusions or speak love without commitment. So you might be swept up in a romantic situation, or a creative inspiration, or a heartfelt mission. But this card asks, is your heart grounded in truth, or are you running on emotional adrenaline? So, here's your advice. Feel it fully, but don't skip the part where you ask, is this real and is this sustainable? The next card I pulled for you is the Three of Swords. And the and it says, sorrow is the thief of joy. Wow. So this card is raw and real. It talks about heartbreak, emotional clarity, and release of pain. It speaks of grief, past or present, that still lives in your heart. But it also signals healing through truth. It's a moment when pain becomes understanding. So you may come to terms with a disappointment. That could be romantic, personal, or creative. Maybe someone let you down. Maybe you've been holding on to the hope that no longer holds you. Either way, this is your heart saying it's time to feel it and free it. So here's your advice. Let yourself grieve. There's wisdom in the ache and freedom in the release. That's a heavy card, I gotta say. Here's the Empress. Now the Empress came out reversed, but I'm going to read that for you. It says, you lift others with your rare gifts. But it's reversed. So what does that mean? So that's called block nurturing and creative insecurity and withholding self-love. So reverse, the Empress says, where have you denied yourself care? Where are you over-giving or under-receiving? This card points to emotional depletion, creative block, or disconnect from the divine feminine within. So you may be pouring energy into others without feeding yourself, or you're nurturing a vision but not yourself, leaving you tired, resentful, or uninspired. The Empress reversed says, you deserve the same tenderness that you give away. So here's the advice. Tend to your own garden first. Self-love isn't selfish. It's essential. So, how does this day affect Sagittarius Sun, Moon, and Rising? So Sagittarius Sun, you're stepping into a more honest version of success. No more chasing illusions. You want your impact to come from the heart, but it must be rooted in reality. So for example, you may walk away from a role or a project or a person that once felt shiny, but now feels empty. You're making space for something soul-led. Sagittarius Moon, emotionally, you're in a healing cycle. There's grief here, but also grace. You're being softened, not broken, but by what your heart is learning. So you may revisit a past heartbreak, not to dwell, but to understand. And in doing so, you realize you've outgrown the story you've been telling yourself. Sagittarius Rising, the world sees a more tender you, still bold, still bright, but now with depth and discernment. You're not charging forward, you're listening first. So you may present a softer, more emotional, honest side of yourself to the world through your work, your art, or your words. So here's the summary of what this day means to you, Sagittarius. This new moon is about emotional healing, creative reset, and honest self-care. The tarot reveals a moment of reckoning, but also a rebirth. So the Knight of Cups calls you to pursue what truly moves you, but with discernment. The Three of Swords invites you to acknowledge what hurt, so it doesn't hold you back. And Empress reversed reminds you to return to yourself with softness and care. So here's the real life takeaway. Don't run from your emotions. Let them teach you. Healing opens the door to real inspiration, not the kind that drains you, but the kind that fills you. If you're feeling depleted, it's time to give yourself what you've been giving everyone else. So here's the advice for Sagittarius on this day. Lead with your heart. But remember, even fire signs need to rest in the embers sometimes. This is your time to refill the well, release the weight, and rediscover the love, starting with your own. So thank you, Sagittarius, and I hope to see you in your next reading. Just right off the bat, just like blibbity blibbity blib. Oh, okay. I'm doing it. And today, we're that day. We'll start that again because it's not today. It's that day we're talking about. Okay. I can do it. Where you ask, is this real or and? And or. Okay. How did Hey, sister, stay. Oh, mouth work. Okay.